With angry steps, Killian left the bridal chamber. He stopped when he heard Lizé's call, who looked at him confused because Killian was not with Edith in the bridal room. Liz stood on the moonlit second-floor balcony, looking just as she had when they'd parted ways earlier. The ivory dress she was wearing was so much like a bride that Killian wanted to take her hand and lead her to his bedroom. But as much as he wanted to, she pushed him away, urging him to go to the bridal chamber. Killian, who had just come out of the bridal chamber, said that he found Edith enjoying her bathing time and did not expect Killian's arrival. Liz's eyes widened at Killian's answer and she tried to deny it. Killian chuckled at Liz's confusion, saying that Edith was a good person. Liz insisted that she was right and said that Edith always smiled and even complimented her. Killian couldn't agree with Liz, no matter how fondly she spoke of Edith. Count Riegelhoff is a man who pretends to be cultured and kind on the outside but is a snake on the inside, and so is his daughter. He pretends to be blind to the hypocrisy of it all now, but it's clear that Edith came to the duchy to help her father with his work. He married her out of necessity to prevent Count Riegelhoff from moving freely, but Killian had no intention of making the marriage work or last. Killian clenched his molars as he thought this, and Liz furrowed her fine brow and gave him a troubled look. Killian asked Liz worriedly. Liz said that she felt Edith was angry with her some time ago. Killian's eyes quickly turned fierce. Liz chewed her lip, then sighed heavily. Liz said that she felt happy when Edith complimented her dress. The dress she wore today was bought by Killian, who wanted her to wear it at his wedding. She'd resisted wearing a white dress to a wedding, but Killian had begged her, saying the dress's color was ivory, not white. Besides, Edith's dress is white with many gold threads and a lot more glamorous than this dress, so she thought it would be okay to wear something more modest. But if Edith's compliment was meant to be sarcastic, she must have looked funny for grinning widely in front of her without realizing what she meant. Killian gritted his teeth at her words. How cowardly she talks to the powerless Liz when she knows very well that Ludwig's family prepared her dress. But Killian couldn't see Liz's heartbreak mention that Edith's dress was very up to her standards, luxurious, flashy, and vulgar. It's true, Edith looked very vulgar in his eyes. Liz shocked at how Killian could say something like that to describe his wife. Killian quickly calmed his ferocity and apologized to Liz. But Liz refused and told Killian to apologize and be nice to Edith. Lizzie's concern for Edith broke Killian's heart. He grabbed her wrist and asked lowly if she knew what he had gotten through that day. Liz was someone who could not express any opinion about this marriage. Maybe this was her way of trying to soothe his heart. As Liz was at a loss for words, Killian lifted her chin. The look of surprise on her face was adorable. It was comforting to see such sweetness and innocence, like spring sunshine. Killian slowly brought his lips to hers. Before a voice called Liz. If it weren't for the interruption, Killian might have been able to kiss her. Pulling away from Killian, Liz waved at Cliff with an awkward smile. Killian, who saw Cliff in the distance, growled lowly, but Liz pretended not to hear. And then Cliff, who had ruined Killian's precious moment, walked over, looking as if he hadn't seen the two about to kiss at all, insinuating that Killian was with Liz instead of spending the first night with his wife. With Cliff refusing to back down when it came to Liz, Killian was finally forced to turn his back. If word got out that the Ludwig brothers were fighting over Liz on the second son's wedding night, it was Liz who would be in trouble. He didn't want to make it worse for Liz, who had enough trouble with rumors as it was. Feeling his heartache like it had been cut by a sharp knife, Killian went into his bedroom and grabbed a drink. It was one of those nights when he needed a drink to help him fall asleep.
I tried to sleep in until the sun was high in the sky. But in the morning, my eyes opened by themselves. Even though I had already possessed Edith. My biological clock alarm was an office worker that still went off at 6 a.m. Naturally, I was expecting to feel like my whole body was going to break, but it was actually quite bearable. This is the stamina of a healthy person. I didn't even have this fit in my previous life. I'm so happy that I didn't get sick after all I went through yesterday. And as the saying goes, a healthy body leads to a healthy mind. So not being in pain made me look at the situation more positively. I was told that I would hate my in-laws when I got married, but I didn't care as long as I was able to live and be loved by my in-laws, even though my husband may have lost his mind to another woman. Okay, let's greet them. It was a bit of a Korean tradition, but I don't think any in-laws would dislike their daughter-in-law greeting them the morning after the wedding.
Besides, isn't one of the rules of survival for a possessed villain in a Rofan novel to win the heart of the main supporting character?
And by doing so, I can have a sweet and peaceful life in this house. I jumped up and down with excitement and tugged at the string. As I pulled the string, I couldn't help but smile. The well-mannered maid came in a second. Unlike Sophia, she could not make eye contact with me and bowed her head, retreated without a sound of footsteps. To prepare my needs. I'm married, but I'm still called a lady, and I'm still not used to it. For if I were called Madame Ludwig, one might confuse me with the Duchess. Sooner or later Killian would be granted some of the Ludwig family's estates and the title of Count, and only then would I be called a Countess. The original Edith died without ever hearing the word Countess. I took a deep breath, realizing that if I messed up, I could follow in her footsteps. With the help of the maid, I tried to transform myself into a true daughter-in-law. But the problem was the clothes. The Riegelhoffs had sent me several dresses to show off their wealth, but they were all so extravagant and cut deep in the chest that I didn't know where to look. I asked Anna to go to the boudoir and ask them to cover the bust of this dress more naturally and take off all the frills. Anna obediently grabbed the dress and ran to the boudoir in no time. Seeing her obedient attitude, I realized how badly Sophia, the Riegelhoff's maid, had treated me. Just someone dressed up pretty to look at, but nothing more than a dog. It was a stroke of fortune to leave Sophia behind. I looked at the pile of Edith's dresses and sighed softly. Even just a glance at them is enough to make my head spin. If I wore those, I'd be labeled extravagant and vanity Edith by the people here. But should I drop some blood or something on the bed? In some Rofen novels, a noble couple would go through the bedding where they spent their first night and check for bloodstains. Only then would the marriage be officially recognized. But I quickly shook my head. Killian's eyes would jump out from glaring at me. If I did something like that because he's a man who will keep his virginity for lies. Would the original Killian, who didn't give up his love even after being rejected by lies, have remained a virgin until his death? I mourned Killian in my heart. But what did Killian want last night? Does he just want to pick a fight with me? Whatever it is, I feel happy to be able to see his handsome face twice and Killian's chest. Then I was surprised by Anna, who had finished doing my makeup. Killian's face drove me crazy. When Anna returned, she brushed my hair and applied a light coat of makeup, while the Ludwig family's quick-fingered maids altered my dress and sent it on its way. I asked them to cover up my ample bosom, and in that short time, they managed to remove the ruffles and make it look like it was originally designed like this. After removing the glamorous embellishments, the dress was finally wearable. I changed into a more modest dress and sent Anna to announce my arrival to the Duke and Duchess. Fortunately, the Duke and Duchess did not refuse my visit, straightening my back but with a slight smile on my face, so as not to appear too arrogant. I made my way through the hallway to the small parlor that connected to the Duke and Duchess' chamber.